Let me tell y'all something right now, and I want every woman listening to hear me clearly. Just because you ain't got a group of girlfriends, just because you're not in the brunch squad, or the spa day crew, or the girl trip gang, that does not mean something's wrong with you. See, we live in a world that tells women if you ain't constantly surrounded by people, if your phone ain't blowing up with messages, if your weekends ain't booked with events, you must be lonely, sad, or broken. That's a lie. And I came here today to tear that lie down. You might be a woman with no friends, but let me tell you what you are. You're still worthy. You're still powerful. You're still valuable. And you ain't any less of a queen because your circle don't look like somebody else's. See, some women out here are different. Some of y'all are built with a deeper calling. You ain't made for small talk and fake smiles. You ain't designed for gossip and drama. You're made for purpose, and that kind of design, that kind of construction, it comes with some quiet seasons. It comes with some solitude. There's a woman listening right now who's got tears in her eyes because she thought she was the only one. She thought, why don't people stick around? Why don't I get invited? Why do I always feel like the outsider? Baby girl, let me explain something. Eagles don't fly in flocks. They soar alone. You ever seen a pigeon hang with an eagle? Nah, because pigeons travel in packs. Eagles fly solo. You were built for heights most people can't handle, and that's why they don't come with you. Stop thinking your solitude is a punishment. It's not. It's a setup. It's a setup for strength. It's a setup for revelation. It's a setup for elevation. God sometimes has to separate you to strengthen you. You think diamonds are formed in crowds? No, pressure, heat, isolation. That's where the shine begins. And I get it. It ain't easy. It's hard waking up and feeling like you don't have anyone to talk to. It's hard seeing everybody else posting selfies with their ride or die crew while you making dinner for one. But let me tell you, I know so many women who had crowds around them, yet felt more alone than ever. Just because you're surrounded by people doesn't mean you're connected. There's a reason God quiets the room when He's about to speak into your life. Some of y'all are sitting in the quiet right now, thinking nobody sees you. But let me tell you something, God sees you. And He's working on something in you that ain't for everybody. He's shaping a story that won't require a cheer squad. Because when the time comes, He won't just give you friends. He'll give you purpose partners. People who won't just go to dinner with you, they'll go to war with you. You ain't alone because you're broken. You're alone because you're chosen. You're being set apart, not set aside. You're not missing out on anything. What's meant for you, what's destined for you, what's promised to you, it's coming. And it won't need validation from a friend list to be real. So if you're a woman with no friends, stop looking at what you don't have and start looking at who you are. Start seeing the strength that's been growing in you this whole time. You're not weak. You're not weird. You're not unworthy. You're a woman made for more. And sometimes more requires less noise. And when you do find those real connections, the ones that love you for who you are, not what you give, oh, it'll be worth every silent season you ever went through. Just because you walk alone doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're leading yourself toward greatness. Let me break this down real clear. Your worth ain't measured by how many people call you on your birthday or how many likes you get on a selfie. Friends, they're nice. They're a blessing when they're real. But listen to me. They are not the foundation of your value. What defines you is your purpose, your drive, your heart, your call. You weren't created to be validated by claps, compliments, or company. You were created to fulfill a mission that only you can complete. And sometimes that mission means walking alone for a while. See, we live in this culture that glorifies friendships as a badge of honor. She's popular. She's got a crew 'cause she never eats alone. And that's cool. But what happens when the applause fades? What happens when the group chat goes silent? If your confidence is built on people, what happens when those people leave? And believe me, people leave. People change. People walk away. But your purpose, that thing was built in you before you ever knew who you were. that doesn't disappear just because you're sitting at a table for one. There's a woman right now scrolling through her feed, thinking something's wrong with her because she's not part of the group. Let me tell you something. Half of those groups ain't even real. A lot of folks you see out there are together in photos, but separate in spirit. They smile for the gram, but cry at home. They toast with champagne, but war with envy. Don't you let that fool you. Just because they together don't mean they're aligned. Just because they loud don't mean they're strong. And just because you're quiet doesn't mean you're lost. Your life has weight. It has substance. You're not fluff. You're not decoration. You've got power, but power ain't always loud. Oh, sometimes power sits still. Sometimes power listens. Sometimes power watches and waits. That's what purpose does. It grows in silence. It grows when the room is empty. It matures when no one's clapping. That's when it becomes real. You weren't put on this earth to be everybody's best friend. You were put here to become the best version of yourself. And if nobody claps for that, it's okay. Because purpose ain't a popularity contest. It's a destiny assignment. When you understand that, you stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You don't need 20 women to validate you. All you need is clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about where you're going. And clarity about what you will and will not tolerate anymore. You ever seen somebody with a full house but an empty soul? That's what happens when you live for people and not for purpose. Don't be that woman. Don't spend your life trying to fit into rooms that don't deserve your presence. Don't shrink so they'll stay. Don't dim so they'll feel bright. Shine, loud, alone if you must, but shine. And here's something else. When you really start walking in your purpose, not everybody gonna clap for you. Some folks will fall off. Some will fade. You'll look around and wonder, where did they go? But don't panic. That's not rejection. It's refinement. God is filtering your life so the only ones left are the ones who are supposed to be there. Let them go. Let the silence speak. Let the solitude shape you. Because I promise you this, when you finally tap into your calling, when you step into the version of yourself that's been waiting to be unleashed, the right people will come. And you'll realize you were never missing friends. You were waiting for purpose partners. People who see your light and don't try to dim it. People who want to build, not just brunch. That's the kind of company you were meant to keep. So no, your value ain't in the size of your circle. Your value is in the fire in your belly, the wisdom in your soul, the grace in your walk. Friends are a gift, but your purpose, that's your power. And that power is always with you, even when nobody else is. When you live for purpose, you stop waiting for a seat at the table and start building your own. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear. Sometimes God has to remove people from your life before he releases your blessing. And it don't always feel good. It don't always make sense. But if you look back over your life and you're honest, you'll realize some of your greatest growth came after a goodbye. See, we think losing people is always a loss. But in God's economy, it can be protection. It can be preparation. Some people are distractions. Some people are delays. And some people are detours. So before God blesses you with what's truly yours, he's got to do some cleaning. Now here's what I know. When you care about people, when you trust them, when you've shared secrets, laughs, tears, you don't expect them to leave. You don't expect betrayal. You don't expect the silence, the distance, the cold shoulder. You keep replaying the last conversation, wondering what you did wrong. Let me help you. It wasn't always about you. Sometimes their season in your life is just over. And if you hold on to what's expired, you'll miss what's divine. See, if everybody stayed in your life forever, you'd never move forward. You'd never level up. God removes because he knows what's coming. That person you're crying over, they can't handle where you're going. That group that pushed you out, they weren't built to carry the weight of your purpose. And God, in his infinite wisdom, doesn't wait for your approval to start cutting because he loves you enough to clear the room before the blessing walks in. You ever notice how the room gets quiet before something powerful happens? That's not an accident. That's alignment. Sometimes God needs a crowd to clear so you can hear him. He can't bless confusion. He can't pour into chaos. So he starts subtracting friends, fake supporters, even family sometimes. Not to punish you, but to prepare the space for what he's about to do. And I know what you're thinking. But they were there when I had nothing. They knew the old me, and that's the problem. Some people are addicted to your past. They liked you when you were insecure, when you were doubting yourself, when you needed them to feel whole. But now you're healing, you're growing, you're glowing in ways that scare them. And instead of clapping, they start pulling away. That's not rejection. That's redirection. Sometimes people exit your life quietly. No drama, no explanation. And you know what? That's okay. Stop chasing closure. Stop reopening doors God already locked. Stop calling it loyalty when it's really just fear of being alone. If God pulled them out, it's because he's making space. Some blessings can't land until the wrong people leave the runway. And listen, not everybody who walks with you is walking for you. Judas was at the table. Just because they're close doesn't mean they're connected. Just because they laugh with you doesn't mean they'll lift you. Sometimes God has to expose their role before he reveals your reward. And when he does, don't cry too long. Don't beg. Don't shrink yourself to keep people who are only meant to pass through. You were created for something bigger, and that requires letting go. The truth is, growth is lonely, evolution is quiet, and breakthroughs come with a cost. But oh, when the blessing shows up, when peace fills the room, when doors start flying open, when the weight lifts off your shoulders, you look back and thank God for every name he erased from your life. Because now you're free, now you're focused, now you're ready. You can't take everybody with you. And that's not being mean, it's being mature. Let them go and trust the process. If God had to remove them, it's because what's coming needs more room than they could give. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not who walks in, but who God walks out. So, let's talk real. There's a woman out there right now who's walking into rooms with her head down, questioning if she belongs, wondering if she's enough, feeling like she's too much and not enough all at the same time. And I want to tell her something she may not have heard in a long time. You are not invisible. You are not small. You are not disposable. You matter. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your life matters. You are not here by accident. You are not overlooked by mistake. You are not going unnoticed by God. See, the world has a funny way of making women feel invisible when they don't fit the mold. When you're not the loudest, the flashiest, the most followed, the most invited, you start thinking something's wrong with you. But let me tell you something. Sometimes the strongest women are the quietest ones. The ones who fight battles nobody sees. The ones who keep going even when there's no applause. The ones who carry others even when they feel empty themselves. And just because the world doesn't see your value doesn't mean it isn't there. A diamond doesn't lose its value just because it's buried deep. It just means it hasn't been discovered yet. You're still precious. You're still powerful. But life has a way of making you question that, especially when you walk alone, especially when friendships fade, when support systems disappear, when you're the only one clapping for yourself. It makes you ask, am I enough? And I'm here to tell you, yes, you are. You were enough when they left. You were enough when they ignored you. You were enough when they stopped calling. You were always enough. Sometimes people don't know how to handle your depth, your strength, your brilliance, your softness. Sometimes you make people uncomfortable simply by being everything they are afraid to become. And instead of celebrating you, they pull away. They don't know how to love someone who doesn't settle. They don't know how to appreciate someone who won't shrink. So they treat you like a problem, when really, you're just a mirror reflecting their own fears back at them. And let me say this, your loneliness doesn't define you. It's not a character flaw. It's not something to be ashamed of. Sometimes your alone season is your refining season. It's where God strips away everything false and reveals everything real. It's where you learn to love yourself without needing permission. It's where you discover strength you didn't know you had. Don't run from it. Don't rush through it. Sit in it. Own it. Let it shape you. You have value whether they see it or not. You have value even if nobody says it. Because your value doesn't come from compliments. It comes from your Creator. He didn't put you here to beg for crumbs. He didn't design you to dim your light. He didn't make you to just survive. He made you to shine, to thrive, to overflow. You are royalty walking around in human skin. Don't let the silence make you forget that. And maybe right now you're tired of being the strong one, tired of being misunderstood, tired of being left out. I get it. But don't you dare let that wear down your spirit. Don't you dare give up on yourself, because someone needs you to rise. Someone is watching you, silently praying that you keep going, because your strength is giving them permission to stand. Your fight is inspiring someone else's faith. You don't even know it, but you're changing lives just by not giving up. You are not less than. You are a force, a masterpiece in motion, a miracle that breathes. Stand tall in that truth. Even if you stand alone, stand tall. Because your presence has weight, your journey has purpose, and your story isn't over. It's just getting started. Never let the silence of others drown out the power of your own voice. There's something powerful that happens when a woman finally decides to stop apologizing for who she is. When she stops watering herself down to be digestible for people who never deserved a seat at her table in the first place. When she looks around and realizes, wait a minute, I've been holding back. I've been playing small. I've been hiding my light to make other folks comfortable. And in that moment, when she chooses to stop living for approval and starts living in purpose, everything begins to shift. You see, when a woman has no friends, she starts looking inward. And that might feel lonely at first, but it's sacred ground. That's the place where she finds herself. That's where she remembers who she was before the world told her who she was supposed to be. That's when the mask comes off, the weight drops, and she starts walking in her own truth. No filters, no faking, just real. And when a woman walks in her truth, oh baby, she becomes unstoppable. Now here's the thing. The world don't always clap for that kind of woman. She scares people. She disrupts the pattern. She's no longer trying to fit in. She's trying to break free. And when you stop playing by their rules, they'll call you difficult, cold, guarded. But don't you let that stop you. Because that's not a weakness. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's a woman who's tired of being misunderstood, used, and taken for granted. Sometimes being alone teaches you how to set standards, not walls, standards. There's a difference. Walls keep everyone out. Standards protect what's precious. And you, my friend, are precious. You don't give yourself away to anyone who shows you a little attention. You don't lower your value just to avoid being alone. You don't water down your voice to keep the peace. You start realizing that being alone is a lot better than being surrounded by people who drain you. And when a woman gets tired of being used, she becomes careful. She becomes intentional. She starts saying no with her chest. She doesn't respond to every text. She doesn't go to every invitation. She doesn't feel bad for choosing peace over people. And some folks won't like that. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. You have changed. You've stopped begging to be chosen. You've stopped trying to prove your worth. You've stopped overextending yourself just to earn temporary love. Because let's be honest, sometimes the loudest people in your life are the ones who contributed the least. The ones who disappeared when you needed support. The ones who only called when they needed something. But when a woman starts to heal, she recognizes that pattern. She breaks that cycle. She doesn't just heal her heart. She heals her habits. And that's the shift right there. That's the glow up nobody sees coming. The one that doesn't need a spotlight, doesn't need an audience, just needs a mirror and a made-up mind. And here's what's beautiful. The moment you stop needing friends to feel whole is the moment the right ones start to show up. Real ones, rooted ones. Folks who don't compete with you, they cover you. Folks who don't tolerate you, they treasure you. They treasure. But you can't attract those kind of people when you're busy clinging to the ones who only tolerate your presence. You have to release what's fake to receive what's true. You have to let go of crumbs to make room for the feast. So don't be afraid to walk alone for a while. Don't be afraid to be the woman who chooses solitude over dysfunction. Because in that stillness, in that space, something incredible is being built inside you. A fire, a freedom, a foundation. And when you come out of that season, you won't need validation. You won't need applause. You'll walk with a kind of confidence that doesn't shake just because someone doesn't like you. You are not hard to love. You're just unsettling. And that's not arrogance. That's healing. That's self-respect. That's a woman who finally looked in the mirror and saw her own worth without needing anyone else to confirm it. When a woman knows her value, she stops offering discount. Let me tell you something that don't get said enough. Just because you're walking through a season of isolation doesn't mean you're losing. Sometimes it means you're being prepared. Sometimes when a woman has no friends, no crowd, no support system, it's not punishment. It's positioning. That silence you hear, that space that feels empty, that's not a void, that's a setup. That's where the real growth begins. Because let's be honest, sometimes the most important transformation happens when there's no one around to cheer for it. See, you can't hear your own thoughts when everyone else is speaking into your life. You can't recognize your voice when it's drowning in noise. And sometimes God pulls people back, not to hurt you, but to help you. Because you were relying too much on outside voices to validate your inner strength. And so he says, let me show her who she really is. Let me pull the distractions. Let me remove the wrong ones. Let me isolate her, not to break her, but to build her. It's in the lonely seasons that you start hearing things clearly. You start realizing what you've been tolerating. You start seeing patterns. You look back and think, why did I let that go on for so long? You begin to rebuild yourself brick by brick. You learn how to comfort yourself, how to encourage yourself, how to love yourself without an audience. And there is something unshakable about a woman who no longer depends on a room full of people to feel seen. This isn't about being bitter. This is about being better. Better boundaries, better decisions, better peace. You realize you don't need 10 people who sort of like you. You just need to like yourself. That's the foundation. That's the real win. Because when you like yourself, when you respect yourself, you stop chasing folks who treat your presence like an option. You stop watering dead plants. You stop begging people to love you the way you deserve. And that's when your power shows up. Not the loud kind, not the flashy kind, but the kind of power that's quiet, consistent, and undeniable. The kind that shows up in how you carry yourself, in how you protect your energy, in how you don't entertain chaos anymore. People start to notice. She's different. She's not looking for validation. She's walking in confidence. And that confidence doesn't come from praise. It comes from process. You don't just wake up one day and become strong. That strength comes from being broken and choosing to stand anyway. It comes from being forgotten and choosing to show up anyway. It comes from being underestimated and choosing to believe in yourself anyway. That kind of strength doesn't need a friend group to exist. It's born in the fire of solitude, when nobody was checking on you, when nobody was calling, when you had to lift yourself up. And here's the secret. When you stop waiting for someone to pick you, you pick yourself. You choose yourself. You realize you've got everything inside you that you were hoping to find in someone else. And once you see that, there's no going back. You stop shrinking. You stop settling. You stop showing up for people who don't clap when you win. You no longer tolerate friendships built on convenience. You look for connection rooted in truth, and if it hasn't shown up yet, that's okay. You don't panic. You don't question your worth. You understand that good things take time. You understand that your peace is too expensive to trade for attention. So you stay grounded. You stay focused. You keep doing the work, and you trust that the people meant for you, the real ones, the honest ones, they'll find you when the time is right. And when they do, you won't be desperate. You'll be ready. Complete. Already full. So if you're in a season right now where it feels like no one's coming, no one's calling, no one's checking in, breathe. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not unloved. You are just becoming. Becoming the woman who doesn't need to be surrounded to be strong. Becoming the woman who doesn't break when left alone. Becoming the woman who knows that sometimes silence isn't rejection, it's refinement. Never mistake solitude for absence. Sometimes it's the space where greatness is grown.